Hey guys, thanks for watching again. Just a small video this time really, I'm going to keep it pretty short. It's just to sort of mention really what I believe holds most people back from recovering from anxiety. Depression as well, but most commonly from anxiety. And that is having the tools in place and the knowledge that they need to recover, so they've done that research of what it is they need to do to get better, but having the fear there still that is in the way of them getting better, basically. So the best way I can describe it is, you probably all know that if you wake up in the morning, you feel pretty shitty, you want to sit in bed, that if you jump out of bed, put on your shorts, put on your trainers and go for a run, you will feel better. I would be surprised if many people don't know that. If you've got anxiety, you've probably spent a large proportion of your life, or the time in which you've had it, just researching stuff manically, trying to find an instant fix. And the problem with that is there isn't one. The fix is patience and strength, really. And I know it's not what anyone wants to hear, but the best way for you to recover is to ignore the discomfort. And I said this in the last video, but I just want to stress this because this is the most important thing that will be holding anyone back. If you follow a plan for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it will take time. Believe me, I vigorously exercised. I've done lots of things and they helped initially, but once I stopped doing them I'd feel crappy again. But the thing is, those windows, those 1 hours of exercise where you don't feel crap, are resting your body. Constantly when you're stressed, your sympathetic nervous system is triggered. Now the sympathetic nervous system is basically, it's how your body interprets danger. So if you're stressed, your body interprets that as a form of danger, and what that does is that releases cortisol. It raises your heart rate, it makes you sweat, it detracts oxygen from places where you'd normally have it evenly spread out and sends it purely to places like the lungs, and away from certain parts of the brain. So you don't actually physically have the ability to think rationally when your sympathetic nervous system is triggered. You're not meant to think rationally when that's triggered. You're meant to think irrationally, actually, but you're not meant to, but you don't have the ability to, because the part of your brain, and I'm not going to go into naming them today, but the part of your brain that requires oxygen to process rational thought isn't being given it, because your body's it's being sent to places that you need it to run away. It's prehistoric programming and it's irritating, but that is just the way that it works. So when you wake up stressed in the morning, you know in your head, I should get up and go for a run, or I should have breakfast and go and see my relative and do a normal activity. But because your rational brain can't overpower your irrational brain, because your irrational brain is pumped full of oxygen and energy, it's very hard to overpower the thoughts. But that's what you have to do. I'm not really going to sit here and tell you it's going to be easy, because it isn't. And I can come up with plans, certainly. I mean, that's what we do in therapy. We sort of talk through things that you enjoy or enjoyed. Sometimes it's a painful process with someone that's quite severely struggling with their mental health, because they can't remember what they enjoyed, but almost certainly 100% there's plenty of things, but it's very hard to look back and remember those when you're ill. So you need to find the things that you most enjoyed, and even though they're the last thing you want to do, you need to force yourself to do them. So you stop yourself drinking that tea and that coffee, and you get yourself a box of chamomile tea. You stop yourself sitting in bed for 3 hours before you get up because you feel anxious, because as a matter of fact that is why you're feeling anxious for 3 hours, because you're sitting in bed. Whereas if you got up the second you felt anxious and went for a brisk walk or a run, you'd find the anxiety levels would drop. They may not go, but you'd burn off some of that cortisol. But having excess cortisol is just going to keep your heart rate up, and it's going to keep you feeling anxious. If you move, it won't. And pacing is unhealthy. It's not good for you. It just means you're stuck in your own mind, pacing backwards and forwards. If you put your music in your ears and go for a run, chances are you're going to clear your head a bit. You're going to release endorphins. You're going to feel happier. So really all this video is to say is do the things you know you need to do. And if you want to know what those things are, then message me in the comments section. I get plenty of people sort of putting thumbs down, or I delete any comments that are rude, but I get a few comments, a couple of positive comments so far, and the rest of them is just either downwards thumbs, a couple of upwards thumbs. I'm literally here trying to explain to people with anxiety and depression the things that you can do to feel better, and they're not speculation. I've done them, and many other people I know that have been ill have done them, and they work. Whether you like to hear them or not is a different story, but it's a bit of a tough love scenario with anxiety, because I know a lot of the older generation might say, oh, you know, toughen up or buck up, and to a degree that is kind of what you need to do. You do need to sort of buck your ideas up and get yourself out there. I'm not saying it's easy and that you're not fighting the strongest battle that anyone around you is fighting, because you're not. But when I was at my worst and I couldn't even move out of bed, I needed a foot up my arse and I needed to get out of bed, but I couldn't. And so it took me a long time to get well. I spent months and months ruminating and just feeling awful. So don't make the mistakes I did. Don't lose 2 odd years of your life sitting in a bed thinking that if you deep breathe laying in bed you're going to get better, because you're not. You need to wake up, do your half-hour meditation, feel uncomfortable, go for a run, come home, have a shower, go to work, and even if you have to go to the loo 3 times and cry your way through it, you force yourself to do it, and you keep that routine going. A mental breakdown can sometimes be caused by overworking and stress. So yes, if you've been under unduly amounts of stress, you need to look at your life and recalculate how you're living it, because things need to change. You can't expect to keep living the same life and get better if it's your life that's caused the problem in the first place. So you do need to step back and say, what in my life is bothering me? Is it my work? Is it my relationship? Is it, you know, where I am? Is it my sort of self-confidence? What is it that's bothering you? And then try and address those issues, whether they be through therapy or they be through a change of job or a change of lifestyle or a change of where you live, moving, emigrating, anything. But if you're not being true to yourself and doing the things that you know in your heart you want to do, and not living the life that you need, and you're unhappy, it will only express itself in physical and mental pain and discomfort. So you need to do all the right things to get better. If you had a broken leg, you wouldn't not go to the doctor and just lay in bed with it broken, all bent out at a dodgy angle. You'd go to the doctor, and then you'd find every avenue possible to get better and well as quick as possible. And that's what you need to do with your mental health. You need rest, exercise, a good diet, and just plenty of coping mechanisms, really. I'd just like to add, your sympathetic nervous system is triggered by stress, and that's what makes you feel crap. Your parasympathetic nervous system is what is triggered when you're relaxed, and there are ways to trigger that system, and that is why people tell you to deep breathe. It isn't because it's an old wives' tale, it's because deep breathing triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. So does a warm bath, so does a relaxing sort of environment, you know, going for a nice quiet walk in the sunshine. Just the way that you are acting can trigger those systems, and they have then an effect in your body. If you know how to trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, you can slow your heart rate right down, and you can slow your thoughts down, and your rational brain will start working again. You ask me what it is you need to do, tell me your problem, and I'll offer as much advice as I can. But I need those questions. There's not many rolling in at the minute, and I know they'll come, but I want to help, and I want to know, you know, what are your problems? What are you struggling with? Why do you think you're not getting better? Fire some questions at me. Subscribe, like, whack a load of comments in. Do what you like. Go on my Facebook, Sunrise Avenue Therapy, anything. But just let me know what it is that's bothering you guys. But the key is motivation, really. You have to get motivated to do those things that you know will help. You can't just know them and expect to get better. You have to be doing them. And that's the most important thing. Thanks for watching anyway, and I'll wait for comments and I'll put something up depending on what they may be. And if they don't come up again, then I'll come up with something myself again. Cheers, guys.